Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rose and this is Rose Inspired. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel. And if you're coming back, keep watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to continue from the story that I was giving you about my life growing up. This is now part 2 of it. Okay, you remember yesterday I told you that my dad never used to go to church. And it was just me, my mom, and my younger siblings. I was the firstborn anyway. So when I reached class 7, there's something, I'm a Luo. There's something in our culture that Luos, as a young man, you build your house within your father's compound, which my dad did. And when he was 7, it was his time to go and build his own home. During this time, even my grandmother maternal had died. So, when we were going to build our home, my dad converted and started going to church. And this was the SDA. And as we were building a new home, within my dad's compound, the SDAs were the one who prayed for us. And so we were so happy this time because now dad was going to church. So we converted from Free Pentecostal and started going to SDA. And this time we were now going the whole family, which was a very nice thing. So every Saturday we would go to church as the whole family. But Rose, I never stopped serving God in the children department, more so the youth. Now I was a teenage youth. In grade 7, I was around 12, 13. I was around 13 years. And now this time I was a teenage youth. Still I used to sing in those choirs. I used to participate. It's the same trend continued. I used to go to church to sing, to go for practice. This time now is this worship on Saturdays. So we used to go for practice on Sundays. And this time now it was so easy because my dad was part of us. So I was given opportunity to go so easily. We continued like that. And I forgot to say that my mom and dad, there are two different types of parents. As for us, my mom was the easy parent, the one whom we could play around with, whom we would sit around with. But my dad was the one who was not so easily approachable, the one whom we feared. You find even the boy children, everybody was around mom. Even the boy children were around mom. Because mom was the easy one. Mom was the polite one. But dad was the one to cane us. Dad was the lion of the family. And so we used to fear dad so much. Fearing him. If you are... sometimes it's good you loosen it a bit so that you can be able to understand your children. Because if you make it unapproachable, you will never be able to understand them at an extent. So we used to communicate to mom a lot. But when I reached a teenage age, that was age 13 now, dad now became my good friend. Dad changed. On my side, he changed because now I was a teenager. And it was the best feeling ever. Now, the same way I used to share with my mom, now I shifted. Now I was sharing with my dad instead of sharing with my mom. Anything about me, I used to tell my dad. Anything, even the unimaginable, I used to tell my dad now, not my mom. We used to go, anytime, even when I was sick, it was my dad who used to take me to the hospital. And it was a very good feeling. It was such a nice feeling going with Dad even to the hospital. It was such a nice feeling. The feeling that I really enjoyed. And that's how it became all through. That's what I know about Dad up to now. Up to of late, maybe we don't talk much as we used to talk. But that's what I knew now about him. So after my 4th form, I came to Nairobi, starting college. I did not study a lot because I remember I gotten a job quite young. I started working in the retail outlets, in supermarket when I was so young. And so working in the supermarket, my life changed a little bit. How? Because now I never used to go to church. You know, supermarkets, you work even Sundays and Saturdays. There's nothing like weekend. You go to work every day. Like I remember during that time as we were starting, you used to be given like 2 days off in a month. 2 days off in a month could be even a Monday, Tuesday, and not a weekend. So I never used to go to church at all. It continued that way. I worked there for long, so you can imagine how many years I never used to go to church. But that was in Mombasa. My first job was in Mombasa. It was early 20s, very early 20s, like I was 22 if I can remember. I was 22 when I started working at Nakumat, and it was in Diani. But I wanted to continue with my studies. So I asked for a permission to come back to Nairobi, to be transferred to Nairobi. And when I came to Nairobi, I was given opportunity to go back to school. And so I was working and going back to school. I was schooling, and in the evening, I go to school. I continued like that until I finished my studies. I thank God for that employer, even though you are never given opportunity to go to church. But there's something that came out, because there I was able to study until I completed my studies while working in a supermarket, in a retail. But during the year 2017, that retail outlet that we used to work for, they closed. And so what do? So many people were jobless around that time. So during this time, I never used to go to work. I forgot to tell you that while working at the retail outlet, we bonded with a certain friend of mine. She was such a nice friend to me, I won't lie. She was so nice, someone who is polite, someone who was very much approachable. And so even after the retail closed, we remained friends. And so one day after the retail closed, I had not gotten any other job. I was just staying in the house. It was just immediately after the retail closed. It was not fully closed, but the arrears of the salaries made me to quit. But it later closed. We were going to even months without salary, and I was staying far. I was staying in Umoja, and the retail, my branch was in Kiambu Road. So you see, the fare was a lot. I couldn't afford without payment. So I decided to quit. So this time, the friend that we met, so this time I started going to church, just a nearby church in Umoja. But one Sunday, this friend whom I told you that we met with in this retail where I used to work with, one day she called me and she asked me, "Where are you?" I told her that I'm going to church. Then she asked me, "Why don't you come so that we go to church together?" Then I told her that today, because I'm set to go to this church where I'm going, let me go today so that next week, I go with you. That is how I started to go to this church. The next episode will continue about this church now.